Okay, we're live. Penn State Blitz. It's a little bit cold, but hey, you know, it is the middle of November. For God's sakes, Greg Pickel.
That's right.
Stop making excuses. You seemed unusually nervous as we talk about this, about kind of how the game played out. Penn State won. I think the final score was 22-10. I was just looking over at your cubicle or your seat at one point. Thought they had the game a little bit in the bag. Wisconsin was driving. I just thought I saw some sweat coming out of your forehead. I didn't know maybe if you were under the weather or maybe you were just a little bit nervous about Wisconsin's final possession in a game that a lot of people thought was a touchdown game, and Penn State was only up 12.
Yeah, a little under the weather, a little bit aware of some friends in Vegas.
Sure.
Sat somewhere between 7, 8, and 9. Boy, I'll tell you what, if you were in a sports book anywhere in New Jersey or Las Vegas, you would be, I bet that was a scene, because there were probably 2 people watching this game. It was not a particularly well-played game, 22-10. Penn State almost feels like it almost sounds ridiculous to say survived.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they just can't put teams away. It's just become the staple of this. They put Tommy Stevens in there. I just can't, for the life of me, figure out what the purpose of that was. Miles Sanders and he, run into each other. They misread the motion, whatever.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, though, Penn State leaves with a victory, and it's on to Rutgers.
So there were 2 things I wanted to ask you about. I just talked with my good friend Dave Jones about the offensive line and the tackle flip-flop with Bates and Will Fries. Fries played left tackle. Bates played right tackle. The offensive line obviously played really well. What I wanted to ask you about is we've noticed on the defense that the timeshare that at the beginning of the season that existed between Koa Farmer, the veteran, and freshman Micah Parsons at one of the outside linebacker positions, it's not really a timeshare so much anymore as it is. Micah has kind of taken over that position. Do you feel like Penn State's defense is the better for it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Parsons at this point is the first teamer in everything in name, or everything but in name. He's not named a starter yet at this point, but he probably played, I don't have the snap counts in front of me, but if Penn State faced, what, I don't know, 80-20 at least, if not 90-10.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, each time, I don't know if it was necessarily his fault, we'll have to go back and look at it, but Farmer, when he was on the field, that side, Wisconsin endlessly ran to that side of the field, and they tended to pick up pretty good yards when they did, so then they put Parsons in, and things slowed down a little bit. So maybe Farmer was a victim of, not great defensive line play on those particular instances, or maybe it was just he wasn't where he was supposed to be. Either way, Parsons is starting to really grow into that linebacker role, Bob. We talked a lot about it since he arrived on campus in January, and he, as James Franklin said, continues to sort of evolve and see a spike in his reps because of it.
Now, I have some pretty strong opinions about the play of the Wisconsin quarterback today, Jack Cohn, but I wanted to ask you, after the first touchdown drive of the long run by Taylor for 71 yards, it certainly looked like Penn State's defense did some things and clamped down on some things. Do you give them, was it more what Penn State did and adjusted, or was it more maybe they just saw that Jack Cohn could only do so many things through the air?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I think it was a little bit of both. I think Penn State's defense has held up pretty well against the run the last couple of weeks, even though maybe the stat line hasn't always indicated it. They've been on the field a lot, of course. But early in games, as the wind picks up, I thought that there goes a Jack Cohn pass. Another one incomplete. I just thought that, ultimately Penn State did a nice job in outside of, again, the handful of runs, 71-yard touchdown run, the 27-yard run that came after that. He had a couple. He was going to get a couple. He's one of the best backs in the country for a reason. But when you're playing a guy like Jack Cohn or in the Iowa case, Nate Stanley, you got to let these guys get a lead and let them throw. And they're not going to beat you. They just can't. I mean, most of his passes were nowhere close to being complete. Penn State loaded the box, kept in its gaps, and it was able to shut them down.
Now, there was a strange play at the end of the game that preceded the Wisconsin drive. There was a fumbled snap between Tommy Stevens and Miles Sanders that I think that James Franklin's probably not really happy about. He said he's going to have to talk to some people.
Right.
That was a kind of a messy end to the game. But what I wanted to get to, Greg, was since we've I know that I've been a little bit critical of Penn State special teams. I wanted to ask you a little bit about. I thought they played pretty well today. They converted a fake punt. I just thought that it seems like they're getting better. Pittiger did make a 49-yard field goal. They didn't really give up a lot of long plays. Just your thoughts on where they're at going into the last 2 games.
You're right. Kudos to Phil Galliano. He's received a lot of flack so far during his first year as the special teams coordinator. But, Jake Pittiger misses an extra point, misses 2 field goals, makes 2 field goals. It was a pretty good day. I thought it was considering a win down here, I mean, to make a 49-yarder, obviously, his misses did hurt Penn State. They execute the fake punt. That leads to points. I mean, I thought overall they had a nice day. And, we'll see. I mean, Blake Gilligan wasn't really asked to do anything today. Rafael Checa back in the kickoff role. So, yeah, I thought that obviously kudos to them. It was one of their better afternoons.
Okay, 2 games left at Rutgers and then Maryland here. Then there's a bowl game. What's the one thing you still need to see from Penn State for you to say, okay, from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, they've made some significant improvements?
Yeah, I just want to see them finish a game. We haven't seen that since September, and we're about to see some September-level opponents on the schedule in Maryland and Rutgers. So I just want to see them finish out a game. And it's something like, look, I get Wisconsin's not a bad football team, but 22-10, you got to put the game away. You can't be fumbling snaps and failing to get first downs and that kind of stuff. You just have to be, even if it's a decent quarterback, you have to be able to put games away. Rutgers should be no problem. Maryland might pose a little bit more of a test. I'm not sure. We'll see. But at the end of the day, I just want to see Penn State play 60 minutes. We haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, 2 things I want to see. I want to see them control the line of scrimmage, both sides of the ball. And I just want to point this out. Ettore Gross-Matos, the second-year sophomore defensive end, now has 15.5 tackles for loss. I think he can get to 20 in the next 2 games, or maybe even more. I think it's a really under-the-radar achievement. This guy played, I thought, pretty well against Wisconsin today, and they have a good offensive line. I just think that by the end of the season, I think a lot of people outside of maybe the Penn State community are going to finally realize that this is one of the best players in the Big Ten. He's already, I think, Penn State's best player, and I think a 20 tackle for loss season is definitely within reach, and I think we're looking at a potential first-round pick when he decides to leave Penn State. I want to see him stay healthy. I want to see him finish strong.